All right. Well, Dan Bilzerian joins us for a discussion and a debate on this and why he ran for Congress against the Israeli operative Randy Fine. So, Dan, I agree with a lot of what you have to say, but I tell you, saying exterminate everybody in Israel, I mean, you want to quantify that, or are you saying everybody there needs to die or ready to go fight and die? Who would you fight alongside? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a debate between Dan Bilzerian and Alex Jones as they discuss what needs to happen going forward when it comes to Israel and the United States. And as we've seen in recent times, the rhetoric in the United States has shifted to an anti-Israeli one. So it's going to be a good interview. If you guys enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel. Let's get right into it.
Well, I think that's taken out of context. I said the only war worth fighting today is against Israel, and that I would be happy to go and fight in that war. And that would be against Israeli military members, not against citizens. So I think that's taken a little bit out of context, like I said, when you just post that one clip.
Okay, well, send us the full clip. Well, what did you say in the full clip? I mean, you're here. Tell us what you think.
That's what I said. I said the only war worth fighting today is against Israel. They're terrorists. They've been operating as terrorists, and they've attacked us. They have sold our secrets. They have undermined us. They have lied to us to get us into wars. And so, yeah, I can't think of another country that I would rather be fighting against than Israel.
Well, let's talk about, again, I just saw that clip. I mean, you say exterminate them. You're talking about the Israeli military.
Yes.
What should happen with Israel? Are you from, the mountains of the sea, Israel?
Yeah, I think that place should not exist. They stole the land. They've been operating as terrorists. They were terrorists before Israel's inception. I mean, what made up Israel? The Irgun, the Haganah, and the Stern Gang. I mean, those are all terrorist organizations. They blew up the King David Hotel. They were murdering British diplomats. They were murdering British military members. They were all designated terrorist organizations, and that is what formed the IDF. All the leaders of those terrorist organizations went on to be prime ministers of Israel. So it is a terrorist nation. It's always been a terrorist nation. And we've been lied to, and we've been told that all of their enemies are terrorists, and that's who we should be fighting. But the truth of the matter is, we should have taken out Israel a long time ago. We should have started the USS Liberty. Maybe we should have started the Levant affair. Maybe we should have started when they were genociding people during the Nakba.
All right, so we all know that Dan Bilzerian is an Israel hawk. And to be honest, I don't agree with this type of rhetoric. I think it's dangerous, and I think that it's regressive in its messaging, right? I think if you look at what Dan Bilzerian is saying here and you compare it to something like what Randy Fine is saying, you'll see a lot of similarities, right? Randy Fine is super against Palestinians. He wants to see Palestinians exterminated. And then you have Dan Bilzerian on the other side of the fence wanting to see Israelis exterminated, and he's super against Israel. And I think that when you become that extreme, you become a hindrance to the party of America First and to getting things back on track when it comes to focusing on American issues, right? I understand. I get it, right? The USS Liberty, there's a lot of other reasons why Israel is a problem state. But to sit here and say that the US waging war against Israel is the best course of action is a dangerous rhetoric to stand by.
Well, I don't find any fault with what you just said. That's all on record. But definitely Israel was a powerful lobby before. What's changed the last year or so since Operation Midnight Hammer, where Israel openly wants to control our foreign policy and domestic to defend that policy? I'm sure you saw the 60 Minutes with Netanyahu. If you didn't, I could play the clips. Already played it first hour. But he literally says, the war ends when I say. People are just jealous of Israel. We've done nothing wrong. We need to basically censor the media, eight-front war, not understanding. Yeah, we see you carpet bombing Christian Lebanon, tens of thousands of homes, blowing up churches, raping men, women, and children. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Why do you think Israel is so mad dog right now?
It seems like they want to, force a world war, and they don't want peace. They've sabotaged all of our peace deals. They continue to bomb Lebanon. They've killed the negotiators. I mean, they are, by every definition, terrorists. By the way, the audio on your side, it's a little light. Is it possible that your staff can turn up the audio? Just coming to me, anyways.
Absolutely, guys. Can you boost my audio to him, please? Great, we'll do that. So let's talk about your life and the things you've done. When did you start getting onto the Israel beat? When did you start getting really upset about Israel?
I really started looking at it after October 7th when we got inundated with all the, oh my God, they're trying to kill all Jews. It's a Holocaust, never again, all that. And then I started looking at their massive disproportionate response to what happened on October 7th. Later, I found out that they had allowed October 7th to happen, that they killed their own citizens in the Hannibal Directive. And then I started doing some more research. I was a Navy vet. I found out about the USS Liberty. I found out about Jonathan Pollard. I mean, I really started doing a deep dive into our relationship with Israel, what we've gotten. And not only did we not get anything from them, but we've gotten just such a massive net negative. If anybody had done the things that Israel did to our country, they would be our mortal enemy. And for some reason, we're lied to and told that they're our greatest ally. And it's just absolutely not true.
Yeah, Dan is absolutely on target here. When you look at what Israel has done over the decades and the lengths that they've gone to stir up conflict, it's clear that they are the problem state in the region and worldwide. But to wage war against them isn't going to solve that problem. If anything, I think the best bet is for us to decouple from Israel, take a step back, say, hey, we need to kind of step away from this Israel-America coalition that we've built together and let them reap the benefits of all of the conflict that they've sown over the decades. Let them deal with the ramifications of their actions.
Now, if you were the president or you elected Congress, what would you advise? I mean, how would we do this? Because Israel has a whole bunch of nuclear weapons and high-tech delivery systems. So everybody's saying destroy Israel, destroy their military, get rid of their state. They have the Samson option. That's going to happen. That's why I didn't want this confrontation to happen, because I can look at the second, third order developments there. I mean, if you thought about what Israel will do, what would be the scenario to get rid of Israel, as you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. The Samson option, right? If they feel like they are going to be exterminated, they're going to launch nukes and kill everybody else. That alone, that directive makes them the greatest terrorist threat to the world today. And the fact that they have illegally acquired all these nukes, they stole the uranium from us. They have not signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. They don't allow nuclear inspections, and yet they just incessantly whine that Iran is going to get a nuke, that they're a month away from getting a nuke. They've been telling us that the same song and dance for 35 years. Meanwhile, they've been illegally stockpiling nuclear weapons, and they openly say that they will, launch them against everybody if they feel like they are going to fall, which I just don't understand how that is ignored.
So how would you then, if you were the president of the United States, what would you do?
Oh, I mean, well, you look at what JFK wanted to do, right? He wanted to sign the Zionist lobby, which is now AIPAC. He wanted to register them under FARA. That's what he signed into action. I mean, that absolutely needs to happen. They're a foreign government that's influencing our policy, that's bribing our politicians. That would be where we would start. I mean, the next thing JFK did is that he sent Ben-Gurion a letter saying that if they don't allow all the nuclear inspections, that he's going to cut off all their aid and actual nuclear inspections, not their, dog and pony show where they pretend to not have nukes. And so what did they do? They killed JFK, and then LBJ came in and he overturned all that. Now they didn't have to register under FARA. The Zionist lobby turned into AIPAC. And then he basically just allowed them to have all the nukes they wanted, didn't force the nuclear inspections. And what did he say when the USS Liberty was attacked? He said, I don't care how many U.S. sailors die as long as we don't embarrass our greatest ally, Israel. So, I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, I think that's when we really lost control of our country.
All right, guys. First of all, I apologize. I have to censor a lot of stuff, but they're literally showing footage of JFK getting his face painted, so I can't obviously show that. But in terms of what Dan is saying, I totally agree. There's a lot of evidence to show that Israel will get what they want, even if they have to go to extreme lengths to do so. And when it comes to influencing American policy and presidents, there's a lot of evidence to show that if presidents don't align with Israel, they are willing to blackmail, kill, extort, and do whatever else they need to do in order to maintain control of the U.S. government to stay aligned with their objectives as a country. So the sooner that we can decouple ourselves from Israel, the faster that we can get to a place where Americans are thriving again.
Well, it's definitely true that Israel is exerting a lot of control over our country. What is it like? Have you run into Randy Fine yet on the campaign trail? Describe your district, because he is the nastiest Zionist in America, and that's saying a lot. I mean, have you run into him yet?
I have not, but I find it very hypocritical that the anti-Semitism laws that he passed, if he were to say all the things that he says about Muslims, about he would be in jail for 5 years based on the laws that he passed in this district. And so he is, he's against freedom of speech. He's not American. He wants to send our tax dollars to Israel. He's advocated for us nuking Gaza. He wants the streets of Gaza to run with Palestinian blood. He said that Muslims are lower than dogs. I mean, this guy is the most vile supremacist that we have. And to me, that is the greatest threat to the world today. It's not Zionists. It is supremacy. And he is the embodiment of supremacy. So that is why I wanted to take him on.
So you say just in the last, 4 years or so, or 3 years, October 7th woke you up to this issue, and now you're on the air saying basically exterminate. I mean that's the quote. You're saying you didn't mean everybody. Where do you see this? I asked the question before, but I want you to really get into it. If you were the president, what would you do?
I would declare war on Israel. I would cut off, at a minimum, I would cut off all foreign aid. I would let Iran have free will to do what they want with Israel. I would kind of let the problem probably take care of itself, to be honest, because if we stop defending Israel, I think they would get what they deserve. They have been persecuting these Palestinians. They've been operating apartheid. They've attacked all their neighbors. I mean, they bombed 7 countries in a year. They continue to just have unprovoked aggression. I mean, they are a total terrorist nation. I just don't understand how they're not qualified as a terrorist nation. They have nukes. They acquired them illegally. They refused to sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and they said that they would just kill everybody if they feel threatened. So, please tell me, Alex, how does that not make them the greatest terrorist threat to the world today?
Well, let's go back to this though, because we have that famous clip. I had it last week. We didn't play it. We played it a year ago. You have Kirby, the Pentagon spokesperson, being asked, well, if Iran's got to be attacked because they might have a nuke, Israel admits they have nukes tacitly, why not? He said, we can't talk about it. That goes to the next question. You want from the mountains of the sea or the river to the sea to get rid of Israel, they're going to do the Samson option. So let's think through where this goes just from where you want to get rid of Israel, the Muslims want to get rid of it. What does Israel do when that happens?
I mean, look, it's something that we are going to have to deal with if they continue to attack all their neighbors, if they continue to manipulate U.S. foreign policy, if they continue to steal our tax dollars, if they continue to bribe and blackmail our politicians. Eventually, we are going to have to deal with this problem. We should have dealt with this problem a long time ago. And the longer we put it off, the more nuclear weapons they're going to have. And at a minimum, we need to cut off all the foreign aid to Israel. We need to stop their influence on our politicians. It's like our politicians are like these easily led automatons, just clapping like baby seals when Netanyahu comes in Congress, and they just all tweet in unison, Israel's our greatest ally. We have to support them. They all keep signing off on sending them more money. It's just like even AOC, like people that are super, super Democrats that, are supposed to be, doing what their constituents want, are just all ignoring it for Israel, but only for Israel, really. If you look at it, it's like the left and the right is completely divided, but that's the one thing that they can all come together and agree on. And
let me ask you this before I play a clip of Netanyahu saying it's not Israel's fault, it's social media. No, it's people see Israel doing on social media. And then I got the Kirby clip I mentioned, but what made you decide to run for Congress? And because I'll say what you're doing is extremely dangerous. You're definitely going to piss off Randy Fine, who's called for arresting anybody that criticizes Israel. And at what point, if it hasn't already happened, will he call for your arrest?
I'm surprised they haven't killed me by now, to be honest. It's one of those things where everybody's saying it. I mean, look, when I started talking about this, people weren't really fully awake. It was something that everybody thought you would get killed for saying. And now it's like trending on social media to talk about this. In fact, people have turned their entire accounts into anti-Israel accounts. And, you see guys like Fishback running their campaign, basically like calling out Israel and talking about AIPAC.
For folks who don't know, he's running for governor in Florida. And let me agree with you. I don't just go off polls. The polls show this. I'm on the streets, and a gas station attendant, restaurant, grocery store, church, everybody's just obsessed with Israel. My issue is Israel has a lot of problems trying to control us. You're saying only war worth fighting is this. I don't want any new wars, but Netanyahu admits they're losing the information war. We'll play a clip in a minute. But I don't think they realize how bad they're losing. If he thinks $760 million they just signed off on for domestic propaganda, they already spent $500 million the last year domestically. If he thinks it's going to fix it, the more Israel tries to push people around, the worse it gets. We're going into this cycle. Here's Netanyahu talking about it on 60 Minutes.
Yeah, look, Randy Fine, Laura Loomer, Ben Shapiro, they are all enemies of the United States. They are Israel first and America last, and I look forward to the day where they lose their influence on the political and social stage. But with that being said, I think that advocating for war against Israel is a dangerous and irresponsible take. And that's my problem with Dan. Whenever he discusses topics that involve Israel, he always comes across as somebody who hates Jews. And if you hate Jews, then you are an anti-Semite, and I can't support that, right? The goal of this whole thing is not to empower anti-Semites, right? It's not to empower people who really just have a disdain for Jews and they mask it by saying that they have a problem with Israel. The goal is to get Israel out of our government and to decouple ourselves from a country that has shown time and time again that they are not to be trusted. Hey guys, quick interjection. I cannot show the 60 Minutes interview with Benjamin Netanyahu because of YouTube copyright, but they pretty much talk about the anti-Israel rhetoric that's growing in America, etc., etc. So if you want to look it up yourself, go for it, but let's get right back into the video.
We've seen churches where they bomb it 3 times in one day. And I know a lot of contractors, former military, that were pro-Israel before. They've contacted me and they said, I mean, we were in Gaza and they said, oh my God, Israel's pure evil. You have the footage of tens of thousands trying to get food. They just machine gun them coming in. This is crazy. So Dan, I get your point about being upset about Israel. My concern is, where does this end with a cornered Israel?
Well, I mean, one thing I would like to say about that video that I found interesting is he said, if I say it often enough, people will believe it. And usually what I've found with Israel is that many of the things that they are accusing others of, almost all the things that they are accusing others of, is things that they are guilty of. And one of the things that we've seen with a lot of the Jewish propaganda is they just repeat things and repeat things and repeat things until people finally just accept it as truth. Israel's our greatest ally. That's something that we just heard over and over and over and over again. But there's absolutely no factual evidence to back up any of those statements. Kind of like the 40 babies, the babies in ovens, the mass rapes. I mean, they just tell us these lies over and over and over again because they understand propaganda. And I find it interesting that he talked about it in that show and named it as propaganda, because that's exactly what it is. And that's what they're trying to fight. They're trying to fight a propaganda war where they give us misinformation and try and get us to believe it. I mean, to me, I just think government officials should be forced to tell the truth. And I think there should be laws put in place where if a government official knowingly lies, that they are held accountable for that. I mean, that's at a minimum fraud, it's deception. And there's no laws put in place to hold politicians accountable. And that's one of the things that I would like to pass when I get into Congress, is laws to hold politicians accountable for what they say.
Now, if you're a big Dan Bilzerian fan, you might not like what I'm about to say, but when Dan talks about holding people accountable, that includes him as well. Now, I do like to give Dan Bilzerian credit because he is running for office for a just cause, and I do believe that people can change. But in this context, I also think that it's important to look at somebody's past because it can give you a pretty decent indicator when it comes to what you can expect from them in the future. And with Dan Bilzerian, he has a lot of controversy in his past when it comes to fraud, deception, and money-related malpractice. So when somebody like Dan Bilzerian runs for public office, I think it's a fair question to ask, are we sure we can trust you not to commit the same issues that you've been accused of in the past, and to maintain a strong level of integrity when it comes to your position in public office?
I want to play this with audio right now. This is one of many videos. And I talked to 2 people who I know well who were in the military and special operations. I'll leave it at that, highly decorated. They were over there, one of them in a pretty high level position, I won't say anymore. And they went over there pro-Israel. And after spending over a year there, both of them in different places, they said it is unspeakable what they're literally hunting and just randomly killing men, women, and children. I was told about people on the ground. Here's footage of tens of thousands being brought in to try to get food drop, and they just start shooting them. Here it is. So again, I want Israel to stop doing what it's doing. And Dan, do you think Israel's one monolith? Do you think they're all bad over there?
No, I don't think they're all bad, but I do think it's a sick society. And And you brought up the shootings at the food station. I mean, there was, so many examples of just horrific things. Hind Rajab, Rachel Corrie, you've got there was the Palestinian ambulance workers that had their lights on. They're in uniform. They're going to help somebody, and they got gunned down by Israelis. Israel denied it. And then they found the footage in the shallow grave that they had buried these people. That showed exactly, what they said was a complete lie. They had just gunned down Palestinian ambulance workers. They've done so many atrocious acts and you look at their society, and a lot of their society supports this. More than 50% support this genocide that's going on in Gaza. More than 50% believe that they're operating and living in apartheid and support it. So it's a society of supremacy, and that supremacist mindset comes from the Jewish religion in general, because Judaism believes that they are chosen by God and that they are better than other people. And if you look into the Talmud of what it says, it's okay to lie, cheat, and steal from non-Gentile or from Gentiles. Jews have different sets of laws than Gentiles. So they really look at themselves as being better than Gentiles and separate from Gentiles. And I think that is the source of the problem. It's not Israel, it's the religion, which is why, I'm not just anti-Zionism. I am against Jewish supremacy, because these problems have been occurring before Israel. And it is a problem with a supremacist mindset.
Well, I'm not defending Israel, but aren't most cultures, at least primitive cultures, they always think they're the best, they're the supreme people?
Well, I mean, Christianity doesn't teach you that you're better than other people and that you can lie, cheat, and steal from other people.
No, that's right. Christianity is what built civil. It was the big change.
All right, guys, we're going to stop the video here. They started playing music that's probably copyrighted and then went to a commercial break. But I think Dan Bilzerian did an amazing job highlighting the fact that there's a religious aspect to what Israel's been doing the past couple of decades. And when you look at Israel as a nation, it's not some Western democracy that's all about freedom. It is a religious state that is carrying out wars against its neighbors in the name of its religion. But we're going to end it here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel. I'll see you in the next one.